It acts as an alarm bell that rings out the important refrain, never again. As the world reflected on those words and committed itself to preventing new genocides and additional wars, something positive happened. That was the original creation of the United Nations. To this day, the UN's founding principles provide a model for all nations to strive towards. It is important to acknowledge that these principles enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights also offer basic standards of liberty that all member states should and must achieve. Our government recognizes that. But for the UN to live up to its full potential and be a positive force in the world, its actions must reflect its stated ideals. For this reason, it is painful for me to find myself speaking here outside of the UN conference, a UN conference that should have had so much promise, but which has degenerated into a soapbox for those who would demonize the democratic state of Israel, the beacon of liberty and freedom in the Middle East, and as Nathan Sharansky has so rightly highlighted, the only country in the region that actually respects the rights of Arabs, women, and other minorities. Furthermore, there is a growing concern and increasing evidence that Israel is being used by some as a thin cover for a new, burgeoning form of anti-Semitism. Our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, has been a global leader in the fight against this modern anti-Semitism. He recently stated that, quote, "Anti-Semitism is a pernicious evil that must be exposed, confronted, and repudiated whenever and wherever it appears. Fueled by lies and paranoia, it is an evil so profound that it is ultimately a threat to us all." Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's attendance at the Durban II conference this past Monday and his offensive tirade only made more obvious what was so apparent to Canada long, long ago, that this event was the exact inverse of what it purported to be. And all the while, Durban II perversely ignores actual racism and human rights abuses that happen all around the world. Elie Wiesel has brilliantly pointed out, there may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. While time has run out for us to prevent Durban from performing an injustice on the UN, we must stand strong and we must protest. While Durban might have gone ahead, it will not go ahead in Canada's name. I am tremendously proud of the fact that our government has been a true global leader in voicing opposition to Durban II. In fact, it was in January 2008, thank you. It was in January of 2008, almost 16 months ago, that Canada announced it would have no participation whatsoever in the Durban process. We also refused to fund NGOs that wish to participate in the conference. It's something that our Minister of Citizenship, Immigration, and Multiculturalism, the Honorable Jason Kenney, who has been an outspoken advocate of human rights, recently called his proudest moment as a minister. Now, it should be made clear that Canada, as an international leader in promoting multilateralism, firmly believes in engagement and diplomacy. As such, we take every opportunity to make improvements to the UN process from within. Our country has always engaged. We were one of the leading nations in fighting apartheid in the 1980s, and we stand strong against racism in all of its ugly forms. That said, we must also recognize when something has fallen so short that it is now beyond the pale. Durban is exactly such a case. Participating would provide it with a legitimacy that it absolutely does not deserve. And what a change Prime Minister Harper has brought to Canada. Just think, Canada was the first country to pull out of Durban. Canada was the first country to cut off international aid funds to the Hamas government in Gaza. Canada has single-handedly blocked anti-Israel resolutions. Canada has single-handedly blocked anti-Israel resolutions at the Francophonie and voted with principle at the United Nations Human Rights Council. What a change Prime Minister Harper has brought to Canada. In this light, we are heartened that several other countries that share our values and live up to the UN's founding principles have reached the same conclusion as we have and have decided not to participate in Durban. With this, I want to say that Canada is here with outstretched arms and open hands, eager to work together with the international community to help the UN achieve its full potential and to continue the fight against racism, discrimination, and persecution wherever they rear their ugly heads. Thank you.
Je vais vous laisser poser 2 questions pour ceux qui le désirent. À M. Poilievre, pas plus. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Je ne vois pas. Oui. Vous pouvez les poser en français, hein, mais dans le micro.
Les micros là-bas ne fonctionnent pas. Alors je vais répondre ici. C'est ça. Bien sûr, venez.
Venez ici.
I'll repeat it. Just yell it.
Bon, j'étais il y a 4 ans au Canada et j'étais à Montréal. Simplement, faites le court, s'il vous plaît.
J'étais à Montréal il y a 4 ans et j'étais complètement surpris par le nombre de musulmans qu'il y avait au Canada parce qu'en fait j'ai appris que vous avez accueilli de nombreux immigrants du Maghreb parce qu'ils parlaient français. Et je me suis dit que pour moi, le Canada sera le cheval de Troie de l'invasion musulmane en Amérique. Non, c'est mon avis, c'est ce que j'ai vu. Si je peux être démenti, j'en serais ravi.
I won't repeat the question. I think most of you got it through the translation. Canada is a country to which many people have come from around the world and arrived on our shores to build their dreams, and many of those people have been Muslims. I have more Muslims. Yes, do applaud that. I think it's worth applause. I have more Muslims in my constituency than I have Jews, actually, population-wise. But they have never has the Muslim community in my constituency called on me to take unreasonable positions, and they have elected me and supported me with full knowledge of my strong support for the State of Israel. So I believe that we can be a model in Canada for bringing people together and achieving great things, and hopefully that model can be exported around the world, and that one day the extremist forces of the Middle East will lose way to the kinds of moderate, enlightened thinking kinds of people who are in Canada and accept Israel's legitimate right to exist and prosper. Thank you.
Merci. Et je voudrais rajouter, je pense que nous devons absolument éviter ce genre de formule de l'invasion, entre guillemets, l'invasion musulmane. Voilà. Parce que nous n'aurions pas aimé ce genre de formule si elle s'était appliquée aux Juifs. Alors, si vous le voulez bien, une dernière question, comme je l'ai dit. Oui ?
Puis-je poser ma question? Excusez-moi, je la poserai en français. Que doit-on penser de l'attitude de boycott des universités au Canada à l'égard d'Israël? et des universités en Israël.